Follow the epic history and unfold the game's story, or solve the mysterious and dangerous quest with your castle's townsfolk. Hi, my name is Mr. Smartdonkey and welcome to my overview of the story and town modes of Iron Throne, a mobile game for iOS and Android. Last week I made a video introducing you to Iron Throne. I went over all the basics and features to help you on your way of the game. I'll leave a link in the description in case you missed it. As with the introduction video, I must disclose with you that this video is sponsored by Netmarble, the creators of the game. However, rather than sharing my opinion, I prefer giving information about the game and letting you make your own decision on whether you think it's worth playing. I should also mention that I'm using an emulator to play the game on PC for recording purposes, but I also play the game on my own iPhone 6s and it runs amazingly well. With all the disclaimers out of the way, let's get into it. Since the last video was more of an introduction to the overall experience of Iron Throne, I wanted to go into a little more detail in this one, specifically on the story and town modes. They represent a big portion of the single player experience of the game, with both modes being very heavily narrated with voice acting and many different characters. Let's start by delving a little deeper into the story mode. The story mode is where you fight dimensional battles. I talked about these a little bit in the introduction video, but I want to go a little more in depth on them now. A dimensional battle starts on the troop selection screen. This is where you get all the information you need for the following battle. You can see what hero the enemy uses, and more importantly their level. You're also able to see what kind of troops the enemy will bring and counter them accordingly. Troops are divided into 4 categories: melee infantry, archers, cavalry, and artillery. Each category has 6 troop tiers. So for example, for the melee infantry these are pikemen, axemen, heavy infantry, legionnaire, champion, and battlefront destroyer, with each tier being a direct upgrade to the last. Categories work in a rock paper scissors kind of way, where melee infantry are strong against cavalry but weak to archers, cavalry are strong against archers but weak to melee infantry, and archers are strong against melee infantry but weak to cavalry. Finally there's the artillery, which are both strong and weak against all other categories. So while they can dish out a lot of damage against whatever they target, they will die rather quickly upon getting hit. Now that you understand how that works, you can try to counter the enemy's army composition with your own. It's worth trying out different army compositions too, as in story mode you can fight as often as you like without the risk of losing actual units. For example, one army composition I've been using is 8 melee infantry and 2 cavalry, which seems to work extremely well against most enemy armies. Because of the high amount of melee infantry, they tend to run over the enemy's infantry rather quickly and get into their archers and cavalry. Meanwhile your own cavalry sneak around the sides and get into the enemy's archers and artillery. If you try something and it doesn't work, don't worry, just try again. There's nothing limiting you from fighting a battle as many times as you want. Now that you've chosen your hero and troops to counter the enemies, it's time to move on to the deployment screen. Sometimes you'll get some dialogue upon entering the screen, usually your hero Maria telling you something about the enemy army or the situation you find yourself in.
I can see the revenant we were looking for. We should sever his earthly bonds and save those he oppresses.
This is where you can deploy your army in whatever formation you want, with the only limiting factor being your hero, who will always lead your troops and cannot be moved from their position. A good tactic is to first look at how the enemy has set up their troops and counter accordingly. Enemy has some cavalry on the side, maybe put a unit of infantry there to stop them. Maybe they left their flanks exposed, which leaves a gap for your cavalry to sneak through. Make your choice carefully though, as there's no adjusting it once you've started the battle. On this screen you'll also have the choice of turning off scenes, which are basically short cinematics that play at the start of the battle, showing the enemy hero leading their troops and your own hero charging in. However, after you've seen a few of them, you've seen them all. Another thing you will see here, and throughout the battle, are your and the enemy's health bar. These represent the overall health of your army. If either reaches 0, the battle is over. On your own health bar you will also notice some stars. These are essentially your rewards. Keep your health above the 3 stars and you'll get the 3-star reward. Keep it above 2 stars and you'll get the 2-star reward. If it gets below that, you'll get the 1-star reward. As I said before though, you can redo battles as often as you like, so if you only get 2 stars and want the final reward, try again until you get it. Once you're happy with your formation, it's time to start the battle. The first thing that will happen is the 2 heroes charging each other. This is where you will see whether you won or lost the face-off. A few seconds later you will see some abilities appear on the bottom right. These can be used as long as you have the mana to spare, which you will see right above the abilities. There are several abilities to use with different effects, for example summoning a troll, which you can summon anywhere on the battlefield, like right on top of some bunched up archers. These abilities will help a lot in trying to achieve victory. Don't be afraid to spend your mana quickly though, as battles only last a maximum of 1 minute, but usually only take about 30 seconds or so. Abilities are the only thing you can use to affect the battle outcome after the battle has started. You can't change formations, give orders or do anything else. You have to let your men do their job and hope your tactics were sound. So far I've done a lot of talking about the dimensional battles, but I've kind of neglected the whole story aspect, so perhaps I should talk about that for a minute. Story mode is divided into chapters, with each chapter consisting of a handful of scenarios. Each scenario is a dimensional battle, with often some dialogue from some of the characters. Sometimes the good guys have something important to say.
How dare they defile the noble men who sacrificed themselves for the world?
And sometimes the baddies want to share some insight.
Infidus must be in the pestilent rainforest. Please kill him and save those who suffer.
As you'll progress through the story, you'll fight on different battlegrounds against different army compositions made up of units of different tiers. It'll get harder and harder the further you get, but of course you'll be unlocking higher tier troops yourself as well. Each scenario will give you some aforementioned rewards, and you'll get an even larger reward upon completing a full chapter. Finally, once you've completed the whole story, you might be interested in redoing it on challenge mode, which is, as the name might suggest, a little more challenging, as you'll only be able to use a total of 40 troops throughout the 5 scenarios of a chapter, meaning you can only use 8 troops on average in each scenario. It'll be worth it though, as completing challenge mode scenarios and chapters gives you even better rewards. Now that we've thoroughly covered the story mode and its dimensional battles, it's time for something a little different: town mode. This is where you control the hero Lauren, whose goal in life is to keep the citizens of your town safe by fighting off anyone or anything that intends to harm them. Lauren has 3 different types of quests available to her. Guide quests, which are simply some dialogue to tell you some useful things about the world. Daily quests, which can, as the name suggests, be done every day for some quick rewards. And finally, epic quests, which take her all over town and are fully unique, with each quest having her talk to all kinds of different characters, perform different tasks, and kill different enemies. Any quest you complete gives you some points which count towards the daily rewards counter. As you get more points, you get more buffs that will help your castle for the day. If you want to get more buffs the next day, you'll have to complete some more quests. While you're running around town completing quests, you often come across chests which can be opened for even more rewards. Starting quests can be done by simply opening the quest list and clicking the one you want to start, or alternatively you can run to the NPC that starts the quest yourself. Which brings us to Lauren's movement. Lauren can be moved in several different ways, the easiest being by simply clicking on the next quest objective, which will bring you to where you need to be. If there is a task to be done or enemies to be killed, you will just have to click on either the task or the enemies upon your arrival. Alternatively, you can move Lauren by tapping and holding the screen. This is better if you just want to stroll around town and open some chests. That about covers the town mode. I don't want to spoil the story, as it's best to experience it for yourself. That's gonna do it for the story and town mode overview. I hope this will help you on your way if you decide to give the game a try yourself. Speaking of, if you're interested in playing the game, you'll find a link for both the Apple as well as the Android store in the description. I want to thank Netmarble for sponsoring this video and putting food on my table, and I want to thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed, have a good day, and goodbye.